Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist of Sarasota. My name is John Yoder and I serve as a member of our congregation's Board of Trustees. This morning we want to give a special welcome to our visitors both on campus and those of us that are with us on live stream. You can find out more about us and Unitarian Universalism by registering on our virtual guest book, which you can find via a link on the homepage of our website at uusrq.org. If you're in person today, there is a sign-up sheet for visitors at the welcome table just outside our main entrance. If you do sign in, either in person or online, we'll send you our weekly e-newsletter, contact, and Zoom links to all our virtual events. You may notice in your bulletin a little handy reminder of what's happening this week. Take that home with you and think about joining us for some of those events. As visitors, and of course as members, you are welcome to join any or all of our events. We invite all of our members and our visitors to join us for coffee and conversation after the service. We're looking forward to getting to know each other better. Thank you.
Good morning. Wow. We are celebrating Easter and Earth Day today, and so we're going to sing a song about joy. And so we invite you to think of whatever might bring you joy. Maybe it's a religious experience, maybe it's a memory, family, maybe it's nature, might even be chocolate. Whatever it is, you're welcome to share it with us. We're going to all sing and joy. And I'm going to start with the choir, but perhaps as we go along, you'll realize this is a pretty easy song. You're welcome to join in. Here we go. We'll start with the choir. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. You're welcome to join along. This is the strength. This love. This love that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This love that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This love that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. This pride. This pride that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This pride that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This pride that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. This peace that I have, this peace. One more time, this joy. This joy that I
Well, you want to know what gives me joy is listening to that choir and getting up and dancing and clapping. So thank you. Let's give them a round of applause. Woo! Okay, everybody can take a deep breath now. Our opening reading today is called The Poppies Know by Stephen Schick. Poppies in Flanders Field, poppies in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. After those bombs were dropped, tell us something, don't they? Hope growing in the ashes, a phoenix rising. Could it be that simple? Light follows darkness, joy follows sorrow. Have you ever seen a poppy seed? Looked inside a flower, seen its maps, contours, designs? No, it knows nothing of hope, nothing. It only knows to grow like we do. Right? Like the mustard seed did, always in the dark, always awaiting to be released. As we light our chalice now, let it symbolize the light that shows us the way through the darkness. Please join me in affirming our value of interdependence. We honor that interdependent web of all existence with reverence for the great web of life, and with humility, we acknowledge our place in it. We covenant to protect Earth and all beings from exploitation.
It is so great to be in community with all of you today. Today's story is The Promise, written by Nicola Davies and illustrated by Laura Carlin. When I was young, I lived in a city that was mean and hard and ugly. Its streets were dry as dust, cracked by heat and cold, never blessed with rain. A greedy yellow wind blew constantly, scratching around the buildings like a hungry dog. Nothing grew. Everything was broken. No one ever smiled. The people had grown as mean and as hard and as ugly as their city, and I was mean and hard and ugly too. I lived by stealing from those who had almost as little as I did. My heart was as shriveled as the dead trees in the park. And then one night, I saw an old lady down a dark street. She was frail and alone, an easy victim. Her bag was fat and full, but when I tried to snatch it from her, she held on with the strength of heroes. To and fro we pulled that bag until at last she said, "If you promise to plant them, I'll let go." What did she mean? I didn't know or care. I just wanted the bag, so I said, "All right, I promise." She loosened her grip at once and smiled at me. I ran off without a backward look, thinking of the food and money in her bag. But when I opened it, the bag held only acorns. I stared at them, so green, so perfect, and so many, and I understood the promise I had made. I held a forest in my arms, and my heart was changed. I forgot the food and the money, and for the first time in my life, I felt lucky, rich beyond my wildest dreams. I slept with the acorns as my pillow, my head full of leafy visions, and in the morning, I began to keep my promise. I planted beside roads and rotaries, among rubble, ruins, and rusty railings, by train tracks, tram lines, and traffic lights, in abandoned parks and gardens laced with broken glass, behind factories and shopping malls, and at bus stops, cafes, and apartment buildings. I pushed aside the mean and the hard and the ugly, and I planted, planted, planted. Nothing changed at first. The gritty wind still scratched the parched, cracked streets. The people scowled and scuttled to their homes like cockroaches. But slowly, 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 shoots of green began to show. Trees, first here and there, then everywhere. People came onto the streets to see. They touched the leaves in wonder and they smiled. They had tea together by the tiny trees. They talked and they laughed. And pretty soon they were planting too. Trees and flowers, fruits and vegetables, in parks and in gardens, on balconies and rooftops. Green spread through the city like a song, breathing to the sky, drawing down the rain like a blessing. But by then, I was already far away, planting in another sad and sorry city. And another, and another, and another. And last night, in a lonely alley, a young thief fought me for my sack of acorns. I smiled and I made the old bargain. If you promise to plant them, I will let go. Knowing how a heart can change. Knowing that my planting will go on. So today is a day of miracles and resurrection and renewal and the promise, if only we will embrace it. In a world that seems meaner and harder than ever, Jesus' teachings of uplifting those who are down, helping those who are hurt, and showing love and care to those who are unkind is needed now more than ever. For me, his theology was of liberation against those who would abuse their power to hurt and exploit the less powerful. His was a theology of acceptance, that our differences are small in comparison to our similarities, and each of us is worthy of dignity and respect. His was a theology of unity, that we are all part of a bigger world, that we are all our brothers and sisters' keeper, and should cherish and be good stewards of this beautiful earth. And in doing so, we can live in heaven, which we create together here on this earth. So plant your acorns of hope to renew the promise of life and love and bring the beauty and balance and harmony of nature back to our world. Thank you. And I now invite any children and youth to come with me to the West Wing for an Easter celebration.
Our centering in words today by Jan Richardson, entitled The Magdalene's Blessing for Easter Day. You hardly imagine standing here. Everything you had ever loved suddenly returned to you, looking you in the eye and calling your name. And now you do not know how to abide this hole in the center of your chest, where a door slams shut and swings open at the same time, turning on the hinge of your aching and hopeful heart. I tell you, this is not a banishment from the garden. This is an invitation, a choice, a threshold, a gate. This is your life calling you from a place you could never have dreamed. But now that you have glimpsed its edge, you cannot imagine choosing any other way. So let the tears come as anointing, as consecration, and then let them go. Let this blessing gather itself around you. Let it give you what you need for this journey. You will not remember the words. Why do they matter? All you need to remember is how it sounded when you stood in the place of death and heard the living call your name. So as we go into a time of silence now, I invite you to contemplate a time when all was lost and you came out the other end. So I keep a folder at home. Some might call it a scrapbook. It was started pre-internet, which is probably why. Woo! I was very excited about my scrapbook, clearly. Among other things in it, I have letters from the Unitarian Universalist Association welcoming me into ministry. I have a number of inspirational sayings that have stood the test of time, and some of which you've probably heard as readings in here at some point. I even found an old letter I wrote to my future self when I was in a seminary training. And at the end of the letter, I wrote in all caps, "You can do this. Have faith." I also found a page with fortunes from fortune cookies that I have saved over the years. I'm not just making this up. This is actually in my house. And it was such sayings as, to find yourself, you must first lose yourself. You'll never know what you can do until you try. And inspiration is within, waiting for you to go deep. They just don't seem to make fortunes in fortune cookies like that anymore these days. Although, and they still have not given me the winning lottery numbers. I'm just going to say that. But I have some comic strips about ministry. I have a letter from my father when I was in seminary, which included the words, and I quote, "I think if you really want to be a minister, keep at it. You'll only be happy doing something you really want to do," end quote. I have an email informing me about the death of a dear friend, a death that helped spur me to consider changing my life path. So these are all things that still over time hold deep meaning for me. Most of them remind me of my journey to ministry and the transformation from my old life to my new one. And we gather this Sunday, the Sunday of Easter, the Christian story of the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus of Nazareth. Now, there are many people, including some UUs, who believe this story literally, and that is welcome. For others, it is a story that gives hope to those who are suffering. It is a story of transformation. It is a story of how a committed group of people sought to create society in a new way. As the fortune cookie said, sometimes you have to lose yourself to find yourself. Sometimes things in your life or in society cannot change if we just accept the status quo. Right? To change something from the status quo often requires sacrifice. Sometimes you have to give up something that is meaningful to you, whether that is your life, an idea, a conviction, a convenience, a way of being in the world. Making change requires faith. You must have an understanding that you may not see the results of your sacrifices in your lifetime. And the change you hope for may not turn out exactly as you planned it, or in the time frame that you planned it. And the status quo does not change without commitment and perseverance. So you have to be in it for the long term and the long haul, right? In fact, status quo depends on people believing they have no power to change it. But as the fortune cookie said, you'll never know what you can do until you try. And history shows us that the status quo can be overturned. The Easter story tells us we do have the power. People have the power to make change. And that's what the Easter story tells us, that what we do in this world lives beyond our death. That change can happen in our lives and in society. And the truth is, many of the early Christian communities, which, by the way, were often led by women, and that's in the Gospels there, or in the letters attributed in the Christian scriptures. But they were there living, following the teachings of Jesus. They were living in communal communities I like the alliteration on that. Sharing resources and responsibilities of the community, breaking down gender barriers, caring for all, including all, male and female and eunuch, slave and freed person, rich and poor, Jew and Gentile, landowners and refugees, everybody in, nobody out. Let me hear you say it. Everybody in, nobody out. Everybody in, nobody out. I know I was at the rally. I like doing rally cheers now. Yeah. So, every 6 years or so, Easter Sunday falls on the same Sunday as Earth Day. And I think it's really important to see the intersection between the holidays, right? With the renewal of the earth and the renewal of the human spirit. The one thing we tend to forget about Jesus was his belief that the land belonged to God and should not be used to exploit the people. And if we remember, Jesus hung out with tax collectors. In the time of Jesus, tax collectors made a profit upcharging landowners, and this put an even heavier burden on the largely poor agricultural population of Israel. Now, often people had to mortgage their lands to pay the Roman taxes, and upon ever rising taxes, eventually people would lose their homes and their lands to the Romans. In the Gospel of Luke, Jesus was arrested by the Romans for encouraging people not to pay their taxes to the Romans. And this was their form of nonviolent resistance against the Roman Empire. And in the time of Jesus, there was still, and there still is today, as we can tell, a strong sense that God had given that land to the Jewish people, and the land was God's and should not be transferred to Rome or anyone else. So I think that helps you understand why that conflict is going to maintain ongoing, it seems, forever. It goes all the way back to the founding. So I think that is something many of us do not have today. Today, our culture is a mobile culture. If there's a job somewhere, we move to get it. If it's too hot, we move north. If it's too cold, we move south. Mobility has become natural. Because I will say, with air conditioning and heat, that's not always as much an issue, but it happens, right? Mobility has become natural, and it's opened up new opportunities and allowed people to leave dangerous situations and start anew. Over the last 100 years or so, we have transitioned from a mostly agricultural society into an urban society. And what is often lost on a mobile, urban environment is our connection to the land as sacred. We may have a theoretical connection and understanding, but for most of us, the sacredness of it is no longer tangible and visceral and personal. It's this piece of land is not sufficient, we will go somewhere else. And this has always been this country's stance, actually. America's history is an attitude that land is exploitable, that people are exploitable, and that land is to be used as efficiently as possible to provide human resources. And it is why we had no hesitation moving out native indigenous people off lands that were sacred to them. Right? In fact, recognizing the sacredness of the land has now become almost a recreational pursuit for us, searching for places of beauty because we cannot find it where we are. But the truth is, every piece of the earth is sacred and can be treated as sacred and can be cared for and should be seen as part of our communal community. If anything is going to change, we have to recognize that the earth is sacred every bit of it. And although it doesn't seem to be intuitive, how we treat each other does impact the earth. And my great-grandfather would not have left Lithuania if the people had treated him and his family well, right? And then he and his descendants would have had a much longer and deeper connection to the land that they were on. It all starts with how we interact with each other. If we do not see each other as sacred, how can we see the earth as sacred? We are part of it all. Now, I'm not suggesting we all become self-sustaining farmers, but even to get our hands in the dirt, see the cycle of life of plants and food sowed and reaped to connect us to that rhythm of nature. So let us remember that last fortune cookie. Inspiration is within, is waiting for you. It's time to go deep. It is time to see the connection between how we treat ourselves and how we treat each other and how we treat the earth. And to recognize that we are all part of the same whole and that it is all sacred. And now I ask you to dig deep, not only in your soul, but in your wallets and pocketbooks and whatever else you have as we take our offering. Please be as generous as you can. For those online or those here on your cell phone, there's a QR code or a link in the YouTube video. Let this sacred time at this sacred place begin.
Morning. I'm Mary Ann Bowie. I was the former head of the Green Team, and now I have passed that on to Mary Lou Keller, and we're very happy that she is leading the Green Team now. And this morning, I want to share with you the Earth Charter, just a piece of it, and you can all access that at earthcharter.org. It's having its 25th anniversary birthday this year in July. I also urge you this week to go outside, find a tree, close your eyes, and put your hands on the bark and just let it go. And I did this yesterday with a druid, who knew, from Findhorn over a Zoom, and it was amazing. So I would like to share that experience with you. Now I'm going to read the preamble from the Earth Charter. We stand at a critical moment in Earth's history, a time when humanity must choose its future. As the world becomes increasingly independent, interdependent, and fragile, the future at once holds great peril and great promise. To move forward, we must recognize that in the midst of a magnificent diversity of cultures and life forms, we are one human family and one Earth community with a common destiny. We must join together to bring forth a sustainable global society founded on respect for nature, universal human rights, economic justice, and a culture of peace. Towards this end, it is imperative that we, the peoples of Earth, declare our responsibility to one another, to the greater community of life, and to future generations.
In the Christian scriptures, the book of Romans states, and I quote, "For the creation waits with eager longing for the revealing of the children of God. The creation will be set free from its bondage and will obtain freedom. The whole of creation has been groaning in labor pains until now. But not only the creation, but we ourselves, who have the fruits of the Spirit, groan inwardly." End quote. So I do think if we continue on our current course, the earth may just be free from the bondage of humanity. The earth has been very resilient. It has lasted billions of years through volcanic eruptions and ice ages, and many species have come and gone, and the earth is still here. But the earth certainly is groaning. We see it in the wildfires and the flooding and the strengthening of the hurricanes and the Arctic ice shelf collapsing. Some religious fundamentalists see these disruptions as signs of the coming of the apocalypse. Right? And although apocalypse culturally means, right, the end of the world, the Greek root for the word apocalypse actually means to uncover or reveal something. And I think by these actions, the earth is trying to reveal something to us, that we must change our ways or we will be destroyed. One way or another, the way we exist on this planet is going to change, right? These revelations, these disruptions will either change us to live with more love for the earth, right? More connectedness to the earth, holding it sacred, or it will change us to be forced to live and die with an ongoing battle for constantly diminishing resources. This earth has and will provide for us if we work in harmony with it. Right? The earth will heal itself if we allow it. We saw this during COVID when people stopped driving. The earth, smog decreased, there was less carbon in the air, and carbon levels actually came down. So we do, by our actions, we know we can help the earth heal. Sometimes having truth revealed, though, can seem like the end of the world to some people. But if we are willing to face the truth about ourselves and the world openly and honestly, we can then have the capacity to change. You know, one of the other things I found in my scrapbook is a card I signed back on November 5th, 2010. The card was from a workshop I had attended called Awakening the Dreamer, Changing the Dream Symposium, given by the Pachamama Alliance. And the card I signed read, and I quote, "I am committed to bringing forth a sustainable, spiritually fulfilling, and socially just human presence on this planet as the guiding principles of my times," end quote. And I took it to heart. I started eating significantly less meat. I was a vegan for about 1 month. I was a vegetarian for a few years, but I did find out chocolate chip cookies are vegetarian, so it doesn't always make you healthier. But I did it. We tried downsizing, getting rid of unnecessary things. Not maybe Marie Kondo downsizing, but living a simpler life than I had to. I bought a Prius C, which now my son has. I use reusable bags at the grocery store. And when I forget them at home, I buy more just to sort of punish myself for forgetting them because I hate spending money on them. And I assume if I spend the money on them, that I will remember next time to bring them. It doesn't always work that way, but I have a dream that it will one day work that way. I try to be intentional about my impact on the planet. Right? I have more to go, balancing convenience and necessity with sustainability, but I keep trying, one step at a time. And as hard as it can be to imagine living another way, we have to believe it is possible. And we have to start taking action to make that dream a reality. Often we have to wait until the pain is so bad before we change that often, sometimes it can be too late. Mark Nepo tells the following story, which I do think is very illustrative, and I'll quote it. It is helpful to remind how a chick is born. From the view of the chick, it is we're getting a lot of feedback here, just let the sound booth know. From the view of the chick, it is terrifying struggle. Confined and curled in a dark shell, half-formed, the chick eats all its food and stretches to the contours of its shell. Okay, it's still there. I thought maybe I lost it. It begins to feel hungry and cramped, and eventually the chick begins to starve and feel suffocated by the ever-shrinking piece of its world. Finally, its own growth begins to crack the shell, and the world, as the chick knows it, is coming to an end. Its sky is literally falling. And as the chick wriggles through the cracks, it begins to eat its shell. And in that moment, growing but fragile, starving and cramped, its world breaking, the chick must feel like it is dying. Yet once everything it has relied on falls away, the chick is born. It doesn't die, but falls into the world. End of story. So I invite you to fall into the world and to let a new unknown future into your world. But it doesn't happen alone and without effort. You have to be willing to leave some of the confines and comforts of the secure shell of certainty. And it requires you to, just as the chick did, to chip away at the shell that holds us back, to do the things that are necessary, but necessary both internally and externally to grow spiritually, and to see the world as it really is outside our shell, to let go of the things that constrain us, to work to hear the earth calling to us, and to lift our hearts with hope for a better future for all people, to expand our view of the world to include compassion for all people and all species, to use no more than we need, to conserve what is necessary, and to reduce our damage to the planet and to the people that are living on it. We need to act with greater urgency, not just about climate change, but about how we live our lives. Let us dig deep, imagine what we can do, and let's go out there and do it. Let us live into our congregational mission, which calls us to help heal the earth. So, let us do that, because we can do it. You just have to have faith. I invite you now to rise up in body and or spirit for our closing hymn, 1064, Blue Boat Home.
Standing on these mountain ways.
closing words are George Bernard Shaw. This is the true joy in life, the being used for a purpose recognized by yourself as a mighty one. The being a force of nature instead of a feverish, selfish, little clod of ailments and grievances, complaining that the world will devote itself to making you happy. I am of the opinion that life belongs to the whole community as long as I live. It is my privilege to do for it whatever I can. I want to be thoroughly used up before I die, for the harder I work, the more I live. I rejoice in life for its own sake. Life is no brief candle to me. It is a sort of splendid torch which I have got hold of for a moment. And I want to make it burn as brightly as possible before handing it on to future generations. And so as we extinguish the chalice, let it be a symbol of handing off the light to you as we go out into the world. Please join me in extinguishing it. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These be kept in our hearts until we are together again. Thank you all for your presence here today. Happy Easter, happy Earth Day. Go forth, be joyful.